because you certainly don't want to come across as a dick. Like, oh, that's a really stupid thing you said. Tell me what you really mean.
Yeah. So again, we're looking for specificity. Marilyn Vosavant, who was the smartest human in the world at one point, I don't know if she still is. I think some Vietnamese boy who's smarter now, but she talked about precision communication.
Yeah.
And English is noteworthy because when you add technical terms, there's about 1 million words. And it's actually, you got a red flag.
I got a red flag. No, it's okay. I'll swing it in a moment.
You're a bastard.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I'll get to it.
Pattern intro. Now my hands are in the air and I don't know why I'm doing mirroring hands on myself. So she said, you can say more things in more ways in English than in any other language. So this remarkably rich language, we need to apply it with specificity. So instead of mind reading, now go ahead.
Perfect timing. Okay, that's exactly why. So the reason I held this up is just to make
You
sure.
get a little closer to my eye with the pointed end on that.
Just have a
Like,
pointy
it
end.
looks this big. You got so close to my
All right,
pupil.
I got another email that I really thought fit in well with this, and I want to read that one briefly. And then they fit together hand in glove, perfect, and we can talk all about how we can help.
All right, let's do that.
This is a different sort of situation. This isn't one of these mind-reading situations. This is, we'll call him Peter. His name is not Peter, but I'm going to say Peter sent me this email, and he said that this was his biggest problem right now. And I'll just read it, and you'll see how it's...
All right.
It's a different problem, but the same idea, same chain. He says, this is going to sound weird. We'll be the judges of that.
The little asides are very good. That's very good.
As other people talk in a work environment, I find it really hard to understand what on earth they are on about. It's just words. Some people ramble all over the place. They don't structure what they're saying, and it stresses me out because it seems like people make decisions, then say something contradictory, and then I'm unclear which of the 10 things are the ones that they've decided on. Maybe my mind is mush, probably not. Maybe some people are just chaotic. Is that something? And then he signs it.
Good question. Is he a Brit?
I assume so.
Sounds like a Brit to me.
Writing, but I can't tell because it's just coming from a Gmail.
As soon as you say, what are they on about? That's so freaking English. Yeah.
And it's a really good point. So we have the situation where some people maybe mind read or stay silent and are resentful, and they commit a suicide.
Right.
Craig, I love it. A suicide. Other people are dealing with lack of clarity or even contradictory information. Oh yeah, we're going to go to the mall today, but I guess we can't after all because of this. So yeah, okay, I'll see you there.
This is what Noelle was talking to me about, one of our staff, in a message I got this morning. She sent it to me last night. It was a verbal message. It was an audio message, but she's talked about sometimes working with people. They're giving the indicators of being in a deep trance or not, and they give her key information. She's working with it. And then they're sort of coming back saying, why are you doing that? She said, well, that's what you just told me. Did I said that? Well, it's true, but I don't remember saying it. It's trying to nail Jell-O to a wall sometimes. It really is.
Yeah.
I can sense his frustration here.
Well, this is it. So I thought it would be a fruitful discussion on how to avoid making assumptions, and then instead of that, how to use language to ask clarifying questions. Because when people are being vague about requirements on a project at work or whatever the case may be, or whether they sound like they're flip-flopping and you don't actually know what the heck they want, how do you deal with that?
Cut the cord.
Well,
I'm 70, buddy. I'm not going to deal with that crap. It's just, you're out of my life.
No, like I have a colleague that I must work with, and I need to get along in a productive way. Or I have a boss that is genuinely a good person. I want to escalate.
But you can't cut the cord because you work with him or for him. Would you snip the foreskin instead? Just throwing the pattern interrupt. Now listen, I know you can't change, the way you change other people is by changing your own behavior. And this is NLP 101. So
theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind. You might want to attempt different forms of communication, see what results you get and start to log it. But sometimes you will, as he has pointed out so brilliantly, encounter people who are just so incredibly chaotic in their speech. It's, I have a relative who talks like a scattergun, like a shotgun.
Yeah.
Just as all these shells and bullets and deer shot in the air. And that reminds me of that. Now we're on that top. There's no logical continuation.
Yeah.
And he said to me once, well, I'm not a linear thinker. I said, yes, it's called being illogical and incapable of rational thought, because thoughts should lead to each other if you want to understand them.
Conversation that I had with someone in my life that involved physics and engineering, and things had to be done a certain way.
Can you say their actual name?
No, I can't. Even though I know better. I know how systems work. And when you tell me I must test something in a certain way because that's what the person at the store told you, and I know that there's an easier way to do it, oh, it drives me nuts. Okay.
Oh, it drives me nuts too.
But
it drives me insane, Chris.
I want to propose, then, 2 tools that can be used together.
Rubbing my eyes feels better.
Yeah.
There we are.
Let's talk about this. So, first of all, imagine a scenario where someone's just going on in an incoherent way.
Okay.
But it doesn't really matter. Is it affecting your life? Is the first
I'd let it
question,
go.
right? If it's just a family member that you're not that close to and you have to hang out for an hour and put up with it, you're not going to even get involved. So maybe the right answer is just sit back and let it happen because it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your life. But if it is affecting you in a relationship that matters, whether it be work, etc.,
right,
you do have to deal with it. So here is where now I want to offer 2 possibilities.
Okay.
And then let's go from there. So possibility number 1, you can just jump right into asking clarifying questions.
Okay.
And the meta model is a really good way of doing this.
Of course.
Right? And meta model is just language that clarifies language. You can ask simple things like, where specifically should we meet? Using the word specifically is a good one.
Yeah. How do you know that is true?
Yeah. How specifically do you know that's true? Or if they're telling you, oh, I need the report done by Friday. Well, when specifically on Friday? What specifically needs to be in that report? What specifically are the outcomes that you need to decide upon?
Right.
To get the information, you just need to push, and using the word specifically can help a lot.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing I want to say, and then I'll turn it over to you for more conversation on this, is sometimes people they're motor mouth like I am right now. Just they're not really listening, so you don't have a chance to get in and ask the specificity.
Okay.
In which case, I want to suggest that you use yes sets and compliance sets to reset and get some attention.
Clever.
So you need this done by Friday. Right. And it's a report and you want me to put on your desk. Yes, that's right. Third question, whatever. And this is important to you, so that's why I'm going to get it done. Right. I need you to stop here for a second. I need you to give me 2 minutes of your time. Okay. And I need to ask you a question about it. Something like that. It's not really a compliance set, I suppose, in that manner, but you get the idea. That
I do.
You're going to get them.
You're apprehending their attention first. Remember Richard Mandel when he'd be talking, the person's gone motor mouth and their eyes are back and forth and they're visualizing and they're talking about all the pictures they're seeing. He'd wave his hands and knock the pictures out of the air.
Yeah, that's a great way. Basically, either a yes set and compliance set or a pattern interrupt.
Well, remember Melissa goes, stop.
Yeah, stop. When, and then
what is the specific? Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's a great idea too. So a pattern interrupt that's not dickish.
Which like, yeah.
Hey, I know we got to, yes, we're going to get the report done on time. And yes, and is a great one too.
Yeah.
I have a series of small questions I need your committed answers to.
Right.
Is that okay?
And now you've refocused the person.
You to answer these questions so that I can get the job done.
This is very clever stuff, Chris. And I will end that segment, and you'll see why in a second, by saying, and when you've done this and you've clarified and brought some sort of life through the chaos, some sort of sanity away from people like just wandering around with weird, dentures and wearing freaking lunacy jackets. What you want to do then, I recommend, is recap. Okay, so what I've heard you say is we're doing this. So Friday at 9, recap. So that make sure that he is agreeing with or she with all your understanding.
Awesome at that on our team?
Me?
Timothy.
Oh, yeah.
Timothy September is the king of, okay, what I heard you say is, and then he recaps it all very specifically. And
yes.
It's very clear.
And then he says, yes, exactly, yes, right afterwards.
Exactly. Then there's an understood agreement between the two of you on what things are.
Okay.
So asking clarifying questions is really important, right?
Yeah.